The phenomenon of one individual to influence another through some means and for some purpose is a natural part of our existence, and it permeates the very fabric of the human social order. Everyone talks about it, many aspire to it, some actually achieve it. But what is it? What is leadership? Leadership has been around since the very beginning of time. Leaders have emerged, and their impact has been felt among people, organizations, and even entire nations. Since this is true, men and women have sought to understand the phenomenon of leadership from the earliest days until now. Throughout the centuries, people have tried to define it. In ancient days, Confucius sought laws of order between leaders and subordinates. Plato defined an ideal world where judicious, wise kings led their people. The kings and conquerors of ancient times have been celebrated. Their leadership stories have been told from generation to generation. It seems indeed that God has designed our world to function according to the dynamic of leadership. But the question remains, what is leadership? Google it and you'll find 1,000 different responses. Better yet, ask 100 people how they would define leadership. You're likely to get 100 different answers to that question. The Bible takes a simple, unique approach. God's Word doesn't primarily focus upon what a leader does, but instead, who a leader is. In Luke chapter 22, Jesus describes what a leader is. The disciples in that context are having a disagreement as to which one of them is the greatest among them. Jesus hears their conversation, and he says this to them: "The kings of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who are called benefactors exercise authority over them, but not so with you. Instead," he says, "the greatest among you must become as the youngest, and the leader as a servant." And then he goes on to ask a couple of questions. He says, "For who is greater among you, the one who reclines at the table or the one who waits the table? Is it not the one who reclines at the table?" And then he says this, "But I am among you as the one who waits the table or who serves the table." See, in this world that's really confused about leadership, the Bible simply says, Jesus simply says, that a leader is a servant. A leader is someone who leads not for his own benefit, but for the benefit of others. In our culture, where leadership is often characterized by large egos, by selfish gain, by desires for power and prestige, Jesus said instead that the leader will be a servant. Philippians chapter 2, the Bible describes who Jesus was himself, that although he was God, he did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but instead made himself a servant. So this is my question for you. Who is a leader in your opinion? Or better yet, what kind of leader will you choose to be?